Lord, give me strength. The porcelain of my good Wedgwood cup was trembling, and it wasn't the arthritis in my knuckles this time. It was rage. A cold, quiet, calculating rage that started in my gut and was making the fine hairs on my arms stand up. "Mark, honey, listen to your mother," I said, my voice dangerously calm. I took a slow sip of my Earl Grey, letting the scent of bergamot fill my senses, trying to anchor myself to something real. I am telling you, $25,000 did not just sprout wings and fly out of my retirement account. On the other end of the line, my son's voice was a thick balm of practiced denial. "Mom, it has to be a mistake, a bank error. You know how these systems are. I'll call Wells Fargo in the morning for you." In the background, I could hear her, Amanda. Her voice, sweet as saccharin and just as artificial, cooed, "Is everything all right, Mark? Tell your mother we're thinking of her." Bless her heart, I bet she was. I stared at the screen of my iPhone at the bright red notification from my banking app. It was like a wound, minus $25,000. The number pulsed. It felt obscene. That was 2 years of careful budgeting. That was my emergency fund. That was the new roof I was supposed to get put on before the rainy season. It was security, vanished in a single, silent digital transaction. "It's not a bank error, Mark," I said, my grip tightening on the phone. "The transfer was made via Zelle. You can't accidentally Zelle someone a down payment for a damn house. It asks you 17 times if you're sure. It practically wants a blood sample and your firstborn's social security number to send more than $100. My mind was racing, a Rolodex of possibilities flipping so fast it was making me dizzy. A hack? Some slick cybercriminal from halfway across the world? But the transfer destination wasn't some anonymous string of numbers. It had a name I knew all too well. Amanda Parker. "Mom, Amanda would never," Mark started, defending her before I'd even made the accusation. "She was right here with me all afternoon. We were gardening." Gardening? Bullshit. The only thing Amanda has ever planted is the idea in my son's head that I'm a doddering old fool who can't manage her own checkbook anymore. To stop myself from screaming, I changed the subject, my brain latching on to the only other thing that had been irritating me all week. It felt safer, more solid than the gaping hole in my life savings. "It's this new software at the church is driving me completely mad," I said, the words spilling out, a welcome distraction from the panic clawing at my throat. "What software?" Mark asked, relieved, I'm sure, to be off the hook. "Quill Trust," I scoffed. "Some whippersnapper in a skinny suit sold it to the finance committee, said it would streamline our donation tracking. What it does is make it impossible for anyone over the age of 40 to do simple bookkeeping. Back in my day, we had a ledger and a pen, and we never lost a dime." I got up and paced to the window, watching a blue jay peck at the bird feeder. And the security on it, my word, it's invasive is what it is. Every single time you log in to view the accounts, even just to check the weekly collection, it logs your IP address, your physical internet location. Can you believe the nerve? As if Pastor John is worried I'm going to embezzle the bake sale money and flee to Cancun? It's pointless. Just another digital hoop to jump through for us old folks. "Well, that sounds annoying, Mom," he said, his attention clearly already drifting. I could hear the faint sound of a TV in the background. Football, probably. "It's more than annoying, it's insulting," I snapped, the anger about the money bubbling back to the surface, hot and acidic. "It treats you like a criminal from the get-go." "Okay, Mom, look," he sighed, the patronizing tone back in full force. "Let's just calm down. Maybe you forgot you sent it to her as a gift for the new house down payment you knew they were saving for." The line went silent. The teacup clattered as I set it down on the saucer. A gift. He thought I, Helen Parker, who spent 40 years as a certified public accountant, who can account for every penny of my fixed income down to the last paperclip, would simply forget giving away $25,000? That's when the icy dread solidified into something hard and sharp in my chest. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a hacker. This was intimate. This was family. The transfer was made from my account, using my information. To the bank, to the world, it would look like I'd opened my digital wallet and handed over the money with a smile. It was my word against hers. A sharp, successful accountant versus a sweet young wife who just wanted to buy her first home. How in God's name do you prove a theft that everyone else will see as a gift? A gift, sweet Jesus. I hung up the phone on my own son, something I hadn't done in 30 years, not since he tried to tell me a C- in algebra was practically a B. The sheer, unmitigated gall of it. That this boy, a boy whose every scraped knee I cleaned and whose every tax return I filed for free until he was 35, would suggest I'd just forgotten about a sum of money that could buy a brand new Buick Encore. I sat there on my porch, the wicker chair groaning under the weight of my fury. The Georgia humidity was thick enough to swim in, plastering a stray silver hair to my temple. My Earl Grey had gone cold. It was the insult that burned the most, not just the theft, but the assumption of my incompetence, that at 72, my mind must be as creaky as my left knee on a rainy day, that I was just another dotty old woman who couldn't manage her own affairs. 40 years I spent balancing books for demanding, penny-pinching executives at Coca-Cola. 40 years of numbers lining up perfectly in my head, a beautiful, orderly ballet of credits and debits. I never misplaced a decimal point, let alone a check the size of a down payment. Just as I was contemplating a second, much stronger cup of tea, maybe with a splash of something that wasn't milk, a gleaming white Lexus SUV pulled into my driveway. It crunched on the gravel with an infuriatingly expensive sound, and out she stepped. Amanda. She was carrying a pie in a Tupperware container, holding it in front of her like some sort of holy offering. She had on one of those yoga outfits that cost more than my monthly Social Security check, and her smile was so wide and bright it looked painful. You know the type, honey, all teeth and no warmth. "Helen, sweetie," she called out, gliding up the porch steps. The scent of her perfume, something cloyingly sweet like gardenias and desperation, arrived a full second before she did. "I was just thinking about you. Made you my pecan pie, the one with the extra bourbon." She set the pie down on the little wrought iron table and immediately sat on the porch swing next to me, a little too close for comfort. Her hand, cool and smooth, landed on my own, the one that was starting to show the first signs of arthritis. She gave it a little pat, a condescending little pat. "I heard you were on the phone with Mark," she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "He said you were a little agitated about that little bit of money." I just looked at her. I let my face go slack, my eyes a little unfocused. I let the formidable CPA recede and allowed the caricature of the confused old lady she wanted to see come forward. "Money?" I asked, letting a slight tremor enter my voice. Her smile tightened. It was a predator's smile. "Yes, honey, the nest egg. Don't you worry your pretty little head. Remember? You told me you wanted me to do something smart with it, an investment. You know how you get with all that new banking technology? That awful Phantom Guard security app they make you use is so confusing. I don't blame you for getting your wires crossed." There it was. The lie, delivered with the smooth confidence of a snake oil salesman. She was using my own complaints about the damn security hoops against me. She was painting a picture for a jury that didn't even exist yet. A confused, technologically illiterate old woman begging her savvy, kind daughter-in-law for help. My stomach turned, but I held my mask in place. I had to. "Oh," I said, looking down at my hands. I made myself frown, as if trying to recall a phantom memory. "My checkbook. It didn't seem to balance." Of course it didn't, sweetie, she purred, patting my hand again. This is all digital. It's for the best. It's already growing. We'll have you set for life. She thought she had me. I could see the victory in her eyes. She saw a doddering old fool, a problem that had been neatly solved. She didn't see Helen Parker, the woman who could spot a padded expense report from 50 paces. She saw a victim, not a woman who was, in that very moment, turning her own front porch into a witness stand. I just had to play my part. I offered her a weak, trembling smile. "Well, if you say so, dear," I whispered, "that's a load off my mind." She left a few minutes later, her Lexus kicking up dust as she sped away, convinced she'd gotten away with it. I sat there, listening to the cicadas start their evening buzz, the sickly sweet smell of her pie still hanging in the air. The rage was gone, replaced by something colder, sharper. A predator had walked into my home, tried to convince me I was losing my mind, and laid out her entire strategy without even knowing it. She cast me as the feeble old woman in her little play. Fine, I'd play the part. Can she maintain this facade long enough to trap the predator in her own home? Lord, the patience it takes to deal with these young bucks. I swear they're all cut from the same polyester cloth. I walked into my branch of Wells Fargo the next morning, the one I've been banking with since it was a Wachovia, and before that, probably a trading post with a hitching rail out front. I sat across a mahogany desk that was bigger than my first apartment's kitchen table, facing a man named Mr. Davies. He couldn't have been a day over 35, with a haircut that looked like it cost more than my weekly groceries, and a suit jacket so tight I was worried a deep breath would send a button flying across the room and take out my eye. He had that smile, you know the one, all teeth and no warmth, the kind a snake oil salesman gives you right before he sells you a bottle of expensive tap water. "Mrs. Parker," he said, his voice dripping with that infuriating, placating tone people use when they think your brain has turned to mush. "We've looked into your query." Query! That's what he called it. Not my report that $25,000 has vanished from my retirement account. A query! And? I kept my hands folded neatly in my lap, my knuckles white. My arthritis was acting up, a dull, angry throb that matched the one starting behind my eyes. "Well," he said, turning his giant glowing computer monitor towards me, "as you can see, the transfer was initiated from your home IP address." He pointed a manicured finger at a string of numbers. "And it was authorized using your secure password and a 2-factor authentication code sent to your registered cell phone." He said it all so proudly, as if he were explaining how the beautiful, perfect system had worked flawlessly to protect me. He didn't understand that he was reading me the schematics of the very weapon used to rob me blind. On the screen, in cold, sterile text, was the digital trail of the crime. There it was, a Zelle transfer for $25,000, and next to it a digital signature that was supposed to be mine. It looked like a child's scribble, a meaningless squiggle that the system had accepted as my bond. I felt a surge of hot, helpless rage. This was the world my son, Mark, was always pushing me to join. Get with the times, Mom. It's easier, it's safer. Safer for whom exactly? The thieves? "Mr. Davies," I began, my voice dangerously calm, "I am telling you, I did not authorize that transfer. My daughter-in-law was in my home. She must have—" He held up a hand, stopping me. The smile never left his face, but his eyes went flat. "Mrs. Parker," he said, leaning forward as if sharing a secret, "from the bank's perspective, all security protocols were followed. The transaction is valid. If a family member had access to your home, your computer, and your phone, well, that isn't a security breach on our end. That's a domestic issue. A domestic issue." He said the words like he was tossing a dish rag at me to clean up a spill. $25,000. 40 years of careful saving, of balancing my checkbook to the penny, of squirreling away what I could from my salary and later from my Social Security checks. All of it reduced to a domestic issue. He was telling me, in the politest way possible, to go home and sort out my messy family problems and not to bother the very important people at the bank with it. He saw the computer's version of the truth, and that was that. The flesh and blood woman sitting in front of him, the customer of 50 years, was less real to him than that string of numbers on his screen. I thought about all the technology Mark insisted I have. The iPhone Jessica was always helping me with, the new laptop, that damn security system he installed last year, the one that chimes on my phone every time the mailman walks up the path. More blinking lights, more passwords to forget, more ways for things to go wrong, more ways for them to build a digital cage around me and call it a convenience. I stood up, my knees cracking in protest. I looked Mr. Davies right in his cold, vacant eyes. "I thanked you for your time," I said, the words tasting like ash. He was already turning back to his screen, dismissing me. I was just another confused old lady, another Tuesday morning query. Walking out into the Atlanta heat, the humidity felt like a heavy blanket. For a moment, just a moment, I felt the full weight of that $25,000 loss. I felt the sting of Jessica's betrayal and the cold indifference of the system that was supposed to protect me. It was their word, the banks, the computers, the digital signatures, against mine. And my word, it seemed, wasn't worth a damn. They had their proof, their unshakable digital truth. But as I put the key in the ignition of my old Buick, the accountant in me awoke. The woman who knew that numbers could be made to lie, that ledgers could be cooked. The digital proof was a lie, a fabrication built on my trust. So fine, screw their proof. If the digital proof is a lie, how can I create a truth they can't ignore?
Damn straight, I wasn't gonna let them get away with this. They had their digital truth, but I had something they didn't. A lifetime of experience and a healthy dose of stubbornness. Back at the house, the silence felt heavier than usual. Even the grandfather clock in the hall seemed to tick with a judgmental air. I went straight to my laptop, the one Mark had insisted I needed, the one Jessica had spent hours setting up, ostensibly for my own good. "It's so you can stay connected, Helen," she chirped, patting my hand with that fakey sweetness of hers. Connected to what? Connected to being fleeced, more like it. I sat there, arthritis flaring in my fingers, and started researching. Voice-activated recorder hidden in alarm clock. That was my search term. Back in my day, you just went to a private investigator and got the job done. Now it's all Amazon and YouTube tutorials. The results were overwhelming. Page after page of gadgets designed to spy on your spouse, your kids, your neighbor. I bypassed the fancy James Bond stuff and focused on practicality. I needed something simple, something I could operate without needing Jessica's help, something that wouldn't look out of place on my mantle. After what felt like hours, I settled on one. A basic digital alarm clock, nothing fancy, with a built-in voice recorder. Ordered it with next-day delivery. $39.99. A small price to pay for peace of mind, and maybe a little payback. The next day, that delivery driver pulled up right on time. I swear, those guys are the only people you can rely on these days. I wrestled the package inside, my back twinging in protest. Age is a bitch, sweetie, a real bitch. Setting up the recorder was surprisingly easy. Even I, with my limited tech skills, managed it. I tested it out, whispering into the clock face, then playing it back. The sound quality wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to catch a confession, if I could get one. Now, to put my plan into action. I knew I had to lure Amanda into a false sense of security, play the doddering old lady, the grieving widow still struggling to understand the modern world. It galled me, but it was a necessary evil. I made a show of settling down on the sofa in the living room near the fireplace, the mantel, of course, being right above it, placed the clock right there, next to that ridiculous porcelain cat Jessica gave me for Christmas. You know, the one with the painted-on smile that looks like it's mocking me. I turned on the TV, muted the sound, and pretended to doze. I even let out a few strategic snores for good measure. Then I reached for my phone. I scrolled through my contacts until I found Amanda's name, took a deep breath, and pressed call. "Hello," Amanda answered, her voice a little too bright, a little too cheerful, like she was expecting good news. "Oh, Amanda, sweetie, it's Helen," made my voice tremble just a little. "Helen, how are you doing? Mark said you went to the bank. Everything okay?" "Oh, honey, I'm just so confused. That nice young man, Mr. Davies, showed me some things on his computer about the withdrawals." "Withdrawals? What withdrawals, Helen? I thought everything was sorted out." "Well, that's what I thought too, dear. But he said there were transfers to some account I don't recognize. And the amount, oh honey, it was a lot of money." I let out a little sob, just for effect. $25,000 gone! I don't understand, Amanda. I just don't understand. Mark always said you were so good with finances. Did you know anything about this? I could hear the hesitation in her voice, the almost imperceptible pause before she answered. "Helen, I swear, I have no idea what you're talking about. Mark handles all the finances. I help out sometimes. Maybe it was a mistake, a clerical error?" "That's what Mr. Davies said, dear. But it doesn't feel like a mistake, Amanda. It feels like someone took my money, my retirement money, the money I was counting on." I sniffled again, adding another layer of vulnerability. "I'm just an old woman, Amanda. I don't understand these things. I trusted you and Mark. I thought you were family." "Helen, please don't say that. Of course we're family. We would never do anything to hurt you." "Then help me understand, sweetie. Help me figure out where my money went. Please." "I'm so scared, Amanda. I don't know what I'm going to do." I waited, holding my breath, listening to the silence on the other end of the line. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. Finally, Amanda spoke, her voice softer now, almost consoling. "Helen, look, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Tell you what, let me talk to Mark. He's really busy with work right now, but I'll get him to look into it. I promise. We'll get to the bottom of this." "Oh, Amanda, would you? Would you really do that for me?" I said, trying to sound relieved. "Of course, Helen. Anything for you. Now, why don't you try to relax? Maybe take a nap. I'll call you back as soon as I know something." "Thank you, Amanda. You're a dear," I said, ending the call. I laid there for a moment, still feigning sleep, listening to the silence in the room. Had she taken the bait? Had I managed to plant the seed of doubt, the flicker of fear that would lead her to reveal the truth? Will Amanda's arrogance make her talk?
Lord have mercy. I could hear her, the little snake. After I hung up, I tiptoed upstairs, arthritis be damned, and positioned myself by the vent above the living room. Old houses, you know, drafty, and sometimes a blessing in disguise. I pretended to doze just in case she came nosing around. My heart was hammering, not with fear anymore, but with anticipation, with something close to joy. I'd played the doddering old lady to perfection, hadn't I? Let her think I was a fool. Let her think I believed her lies. A few minutes crawled by, filled with the gentle ticking of the grandfather clock downstairs, a clock that's been in my family for over a century. It was a sound of comfort before. Now it just made me want to scream. Then, the shrill ring of her iPhone cut through the silence. "Hey girl, you won't believe the performance I just pulled off." Amanda's voice, clear as a bell through the vent, dripped with a smugness that made my blood boil. I pressed my ear closer to the vent, praying she wouldn't move to another room. "Yeah, Helen," she called, all weepy and pathetic, said she didn't know where her money went. Amanda's voice was laced with laughter. "Honey, the old bat doesn't suspect a thing, not a single solitary thing. Signed her life away and thinks she just forgot. I swear, she probably thinks her memory's going, which, let's be honest, it probably is." I gripped the edge of the bed, my knuckles white. The sheer gall of it. "Oh, it was beautiful, darling." I played the concerned daughter-in-law, all sweetness and light, told her Mark would look into it. "He's out on the golf course, for crying out loud, as if he gives a damn about her fixed income." She paused, and I could almost picture her preening in front of the mirror. Best part, I used her own laptop. The transaction history will look totally legit. Transferred it right into our account at Wells Fargo. It's perfect. Untraceable. Mark set up one of those Zelle accounts just for this kind of thing. My breath hitched. Zelle. I'd heard about it. The young bucks using it for everything. Never thought my own family would be using it to rob me blind. 25 grand, honey. $25,000. Can you believe it? That's going straight to that kitchen remodel I've been wanting. New granite countertops, the whole shebang. And Mark wants to upgrade his clubs too. She giggled, a high-pitched, grating sound that grated on my nerves. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. I had her. I really had her. Every gloating, self-satisfied word was a nail in her coffin, a checkmate on her little game. Oh, and you know what's even better? She's so grateful that we're helping her. Said I was a dear. A dear! I swear, I almost burst out laughing. I told her to take a nap so she wouldn't ask more stupid questions. I'm gonna hang out with my friends and go to that new boutique in Buckhead this afternoon. She paused again, and I could hear the clinking of ice, probably pouring herself a gin and tonic. The nerve. Yeah, well, Mark said it was a victimless crime. She's old, she doesn't need the money. Besides, she'll be gone soon enough, if you know what I mean. That last comment hit me like a punch to the gut. The casual cruelty of it, that I'd be gone soon enough, that they were already counting down the days until they could inherit whatever little I had left. I wanted to burst downstairs, confront her right then and there, but I held back. I needed to be smart. I needed to be strategic. I needed to make sure I had all my ducks in a row. "Okay, sweetie, gotta run. Shopping awaits. I'll call you later. Love you." The line went dead. Silence descended on the house, a silence that was now heavy with the weight of her betrayal. I slowly rose from the bed, my knees protesting with a familiar ache. I moved carefully to my roll-top desk, the one I'd had since before Mark was even born. I reached into the bottom drawer and pulled out my trusty tape recorder. It was an old model, the kind they don't even make anymore. But it still worked perfectly, and it was ready to record. I rewound the tape to the beginning of Amanda's phone call. I listened to it again, every word, every inflection, every damning detail. It was all there, laid bare in her own voice. I smiled, a slow, grim smile that hadn't touched my face in years. The huntress was back. Is this recording the checkmate she needs? Lord, the stage was set. You know, for an old accountant, I always had a flair for the dramatic. After listening to that tape for a second, then a third time, I knew I couldn't just call the police. Oh, no, that would be too simple, too clean. This required a certain presentation, a grand finale, if you will. I picked up the phone, my hand steady as a rock, but when I dialed Mark's number, I let a little quaver slip into my voice. A
little wobble, just enough to sound like a frail old woman on the verge of tears. "Mark, honey," I whispered into the receiver, Could you and Amanda come over? I've made some tea. I need to understand something. My mind is all jumbled." He bought it, hook, line, and sinker. "Of course, Mom. We'll be right there. Are you okay?" "I'll be fine, dear," I said, letting my voice crack on the last word. "Just hurry." I hung up and took a deep, steadying breath. Showtime. 45 minutes later, they swept in. Mark looked genuinely concerned. His brow furrowed the way it always was when he worried about me. And then there was Amanda. She glided in behind him, wearing a cream-colored pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly Social Security check, carrying a Michael Kors handbag like a shield. The air, which had smelled of old books and the Earl Grey I was brewing, was suddenly choked with her perfume, something expensive and cloying, like wilting gardenias. I made a show of getting up from my wingback chair, leaning heavily on the ornate wooden cane Frank had bought me years ago. My arthritis was acting up, but I exaggerated the limp, making each step a shuffling, painful effort. I let out a little grunt as I settled back into my chair, arranging the Afghan over my knees, the picture of a helpless matriarch. "Thank you for coming," I said, my voice as thin as parchment paper. "Mark, be a dear and pour the tea." Amanda sat opposite me on the sofa, crossing her legs elegantly. She gave me a smile that didn't reach her eyes. It was the kind of smile you give a toddler who's just said something nonsensical. A blade wrapped in velvet. "Of course, Helen, anything for you. What seems to be the trouble?" I watched my son pour the steaming tea into my good china cups, his hands fumbling slightly. He wouldn't look at me, not directly. I took a slow, deliberate sip. The warmth was comforting. "Well, Amanda, sweetie," I began, setting the cup down with a slight tremble I manufactured for effect. "It's this business with the money, the $25,000 from my retirement account. My old brain just can't seem to wrap itself around it." I looked at her, my eyes wide and pleading. "You said it was for a sure thing investment? A tech startup?" "That's right, Helen. We've been over this. It's a fantastic opportunity. Mark and I wanted you to be a part of it, to help you grow your nest egg." "Grow my nest egg," I repeated softly, letting the words hang in the air. "At 72? You know, I'm on a fixed income. That money was for emergencies, for my final expenses. It's not like I have much else, aside from the hassle of sorting through those dusty old Series EE bonds Frank bought back in the 80s. So much paperwork for my old eyes." I let that detail about the bonds just float away, a seemingly random complaint from an old, confused woman. Amanda waved a dismissive hand, her diamond ring catching the light from the lamp. "Oh, don't you worry your pretty little head about that. This is going to pay off big time. You have to trust us. We're family." Mark shifted uncomfortably on the sofa next to her. "Mom, Amanda knows what she's doing. She's smart about these things." I turned my watery gaze to him, my own son. He looked away, focusing on a speck of dust on the coffee table. The shame was rolling off him in waves, but he was too too weak, too enthralled by her to stand up to her or to me. I looked back at Amanda. The huntress inside me was coiled, ready to strike. I could feel the weight of the little tape recorder in my cardigan pocket. I could see the whole scene playing out in my head. The click of the play button, the sound of her own voice filling the silent room, the smug mask shattering from her face. But not yet. The performance wasn't over. I had to let her dig the hole a little deeper. "Please, Amanda," I whispered, and I managed to squeeze a single perfect tear from my eye. It rolled slowly down my wrinkled cheek. "Just explain it to me one more time, slowly, as if you were talking to a child. Where did my money go?" She leaned forward, her voice dripping with false sympathy. That sharp, predatory smile still plastered on her face. "Of course, Helen, let me break it down for you." And as she launched into her web of lies, I just held her gaze, letting her think she had complete and total control, letting her believe the old woman was fading, weak, and utterly defeated. The power in that moment was intoxicating. It was everything. When is the perfect moment to drop the mask?
"Oh, honey," Amanda said, patting my hand again, that same patronizing smile plastered on her face. It was starting to feel like a physical assault. "We've talked about this. It was a gift, Helen, a gift for us, for your future grandchild's college fund. Don't you remember? You were so happy about it." The air in the room was thick with the sickly sweet scent of her perfume, some cheap department store concoction that smelled vaguely of gardenias and desperation. It mingled with the stale, lingering odor of the pot roast I'd made last week, a pot roast I could barely afford now, thanks to her. Mark, God love him, looked like he wanted to disappear into the beige wallpaper. He shifted again, his eyes darting between Amanda and me. He desperately wanted to believe her. I could see it. The poor boy was caught between his mother and his wife, and in his mind, that made him a good man. But he wasn't a man. He was a coward. "Happy?" I croaked, my voice trembling just enough to sell the act. "Sweetie, I'm on a fixed income. Happy doesn't factor into the equation very often these days. Happy is when my arthritis doesn't flare up. Happy is when the damn phone doesn't ring with another scammer trying to steal my social security number. This money was for..." My voice trailed off, a perfect imitation of a bewildered, heartbroken old woman. "It was for my security." Amanda's smile tightened, just a fraction. "But Helen, darling, we are your security now, Mark and I. Think of it as investing in your future. When your grandchild goes to Harvard, you'll be so proud." Harvard? My granddaughter would be lucky to get into community college at this rate, and it wouldn't be my money paying for it if she did. I glanced at Mark again. He was staring at his hands, twisting his wedding ring around and around his finger. The silence stretched, punctuated only by the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway, a clock my dear departed Robert had cherished, a clock that would probably not be ticking for much longer if things kept going this way. I swear, he'd be turning in his grave if he knew this woman had her claws so deep in our family. "Amanda," I said, my voice still weak, but with a dangerous undercurrent that I hoped she missed. $25,000 is a lot of money. Did you deposit it into a special account for the baby?" "Of course, Helen," she chirped, too quickly. A 529 plan. It's the best way to save for college these days. Mark helped me set it up. Isn't that right, darling?"
Mark mumbled something intelligible, still avoiding my gaze. I could practically smell the guilt radiating off him. A 529 plan, I repeated slowly. Well, that's wonderful. You know, I've been meaning to update my will. I think it's time I had a serious conversation with my lawyer. I want to make sure everything is in order, especially since I have this generous contribution to my grandchild's future to consider. Maybe I should even add a clause stipulating how that money is to be used in the future, just in case, something unforeseen happens. I watched her face. Just a flicker, a momentary lapse in her carefully constructed facade. But it was there. I saw it. She reached for my hand again, her touch now feeling like a viper coiling around my wrist. Helen, you worry too much. Everything is going to be fine. You don't need to trouble yourself with lawyers and wills. Just relax and enjoy your retirement. Let us take care of you. Take care of me? I echoed, my voice suddenly hardening. The tear ducts were officially closed for business. The sweet old lady act was wearing thin. Honey, back in my day, taking care of someone meant actually caring for them, not taking their life savings. I used to be an accountant. Numbers are my friends, and $25,000 is a very, very big number to just misplace. I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. Amanda's smile had vanished completely. Mark was now staring at me, his eyes wide with fear and a dawning realization. The air crackled with unspoken accusations, with lies and betrayals. It was almost time. Almost time to unleash the fury I had kept bottled up inside. But not yet. One last question. Amanda, I said, my voice low and dangerous. Tell me, exactly where did you deposit that money? The name of the institution, the account number. I want to see it in writing. Tonight. She darted her eyes around the room, searching for an escape. She licked her lips, her composure finally cracking. That's when I knew I had her. Ready to strike?
Lord, give me strength. I straightened my spine, felt every one of my 72 years, but stood taller than I had in weeks. That pathetic, frail old woman act? Gone. Poof! Don't you dare call me sweetie, I said, my voice now cold, sharp steel. Not after what you've done. You think I'm some addled old fool drooling in a recliner, forgetting where I put my teeth? You think I can't see? Can't hear? I let that hang in the air, watching the color drain from Amanda's face. Mark just stood there, mouth agape, looking like a guppy gasping for air. Well, here's a newsflash for you both, I continued, savoring the moment. I've been more lucid these past 3 weeks than you've been in your entire greedy life. You underestimated me, Amanda. You thought I was an easy mark, a senile old woman just waiting to kick the bucket and leave you everything. You thought you could siphon off my hard-earned money, my retirement fund, without me noticing? I took a deep breath, the air suddenly feeling heavy with the weight of their betrayal. You see, Amanda, dear, I may have slowed down a bit, maybe forgotten where I left my reading glasses, again, but my mind is as sharp as a tack. You both thought I was losing it, didn't you? All those little forgetful moments? Conveniently timed, weren't they? I let a small, almost wicked smile play on my lips. Well, here's another surprise, I said, reaching for my iPhone on the side table. It was an old model, a hand-me-down from Mark, but it worked just fine for my purposes. I tapped the screen, connected to a small Bluetooth speaker hidden behind a vase of wilting lilies I hadn't bothered to throw out. Play, I commanded, my voice clear and strong. A beat of silence,
Then, Amanda's voice filled the room. It was a recording of a phone conversation she'd had just a few weeks ago, thinking I was napping upstairs. A recording I'd conveniently set up using a voice-activated app I downloaded. Oh, Mother Parker, she's practically in her dotage. Honestly, half the time she doesn't know what day it is. It's almost embarrassing to take her out in public. Her voice dripped with contempt, a stark contrast to the sweet, saccharine tone she used with me face to face. And the money? Mark's voice, hesitant and unsure, echoed from the speaker. Are you sure about this, Amanda? It's her retirement fund. Relax, Mark. It's not like she's gonna need it. She's old. She'll be gone soon enough. And besides, Amanda continued, her voice hardening, it's not stealing, it's borrowing. Temporarily. We'll pay it back. Eventually. Once my business venture takes off. Besides, she's got her Social Security and a fixed income. What's she gonna do? Buy a yacht? The recording went on, detailing their plans, their lies, their complete and utter disregard for me, for my well-being, for the decades I'd spent scrimping and saving. Mark's face was now ashen, his eyes wide with horror. He stared at Amanda, then at me, then back at Amanda, like a spectator at a particularly brutal tennis match. Amanda, on the other hand, stood frozen, her mouth moving soundlessly like a fish out of water. The recording ended, leaving a deafening silence in its wake. The only sound was the hum of the air conditioning, a constant, monotonous drone that suddenly felt incredibly loud. I disconnected my iPhone from the speaker. Well, Amanda, I said, my voice calm, almost conversational. What do you have to say for yourself, besides the fact that you're a liar and a thief? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. She swallowed hard, her eyes darting around the room, searching for an escape, a way out of this mess. Helen, she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. I can explain. Oh, I'm sure you can, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. You're a regular snake oil salesman, Amanda. You could probably sell ice to Eskimos. I paused, letting the silence build again. But I'm not interested in your explanations. I'm interested in my money, all $25,000 of it, with interest, and I want it back, now. Mark finally found his voice. Amanda, is this true? Did you really take her money? Amanda didn't answer. She just stood there, her eyes fixed on the floor, her face a mask of shame and defeat. I smiled, a genuine smile this time, the kind of smile that comes from knowing you've won. I had them. I had them both. Right?
Damn, right? I thought I had her. You know, that feeling when you corner a rat and you see the fear in its eyes? That's what I saw in Amanda's. Or so I thought. But this girl was something else. It lasted only a second, that look of shame. One blink, and it was gone. Replaced by, well, what happened next, I can't say I expected. Instead of collapsing into a heap of tears or launching into some pathetic excuse, Amanda straightened her shoulders. She lifted her chin. A slow clap started, just her hands, but each clap was sharp, deliberate, like a metronome marking the beat of my impending doom, honey. Bravo, Helen, she said, her voice smooth as silk, but with a razor's edge underneath. A truly wonderful performance, Oscar-worthy even. I almost felt bad for you there for a minute. Almost. Mark looked like he was going to faint. His face was the color of skim milk. He opened his mouth to say something, but no sound came out. He was a goldfish, gasping for air in a bowl that had suddenly turned toxic. Amanda ignored him completely. Her eyes were locked on mine, and a smirk played on her lips.
A smirk, mind you. The audacity of this girl. But, she continued, her voice dripping with condescension, you really should have invested in better surveillance equipment, Helen. You're slipping in your old age, sweetie. I felt a cold dread creep up my spine. What was she talking about? Better equipment? The iPhone recording was crystal clear. I'd tested it myself even. I'd made sure the microphone was picking up everything. I thought I had covered all the angles. I even made sure to delete those spam emails from my inbox. That was a pain, let me tell you. What are you talking about? I asked, my voice tighter than I wanted it to be. She just smiled wider. Oh, Helen, 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 she said, shaking her head. You really think that little recording is all you need? You think that proves anything? She reached into her purse, that expensive leather thing Mark probably bought her. She pulled out her own phone, a newer model than mine, naturally. She tapped the screen a few times, then held it up. Let me show you something, she said. This is a recording I made of you just a few weeks ago while you were alone in your living room. My blood ran cold. I hadn't been alone, not entirely. The cleaning lady, Maria, was there, but she was in the kitchen most of the time. And she wouldn't, would she? Amanda pressed play. The sound filled the room. It was my voice, all right, talking to someone, but who? And then I told Mark that I needed to withdraw some money to fix the plumbing in the guest bathroom. He's such a gullible young buck. He didn't suspect a thing. I heard another voice, a man's voice, chuckle. And how much did you get away with this time, darling? $5,000. But I'm planning another withdrawal soon, maybe even bigger. We'll be living the high life in no time, Tony. Tony? Who the hell is Tony? I don't know any Tony. The only Tony I know is the guy who delivers my newspapers, and he's got a limp and a wife named Doris. Amanda stopped the recording. She looked at me, her eyes sparkling with triumph. Recognize yourself, Helen? Or should I play the part where you talk about how easy it is to manipulate Mark because he loves his dear old mother so much? I was speechless. I couldn't breathe. My heart was pounding in my chest like a trapped bird. This couldn't be happening. This had to be a nightmare. Mark was staring at me, his face a mask of disbelief. Mom, he whispered, is that true? I opened my mouth to deny it, to scream that it was a lie, a fabrication, but the words wouldn't come. My throat was dry, my tongue felt like lead. Amanda had me. She really had me. She'd turned the tables on me so completely, so swiftly. How? I'd been so careful. I'd made sure no one was around when I discussed well, that's not important right now. What is important is that somehow, some way, she'd managed to make me look like the guilty party, the manipulator, the liar. Well, Helen, Amanda pressed, enjoying my discomfort, cat got your tongue. But the most pressing thing was that voice on the recording. It sounded like me, but it wasn't quite me. There was something off about it. A subtle distortion, maybe? Or a clever imitation. And who the hell is Tony? What does she mean by better equipment?
Oh, for crying out loud, I finally managed to croak out, my voice sounding like rusty hinges. Amanda, what in the Sam Hill is going on? She just smirked. That self-satisfied little smirk that I'd grown to loathe more than prune juice. She grabbed her tablet, a shiny new iPad Pro, probably bought with my money if I knew her, and tapped a few times. The screen mirrored onto the living room TV, making everything larger than life. Since you seem to have trouble remembering, Helen, she said, her voice dripping with sugar, let me refresh your memory.
first, that awful recording started up again. My voice, or rather the imitation of my voice, filled the room, talking about Tony and manipulating Mark. It was even more jarring hearing it blasted through the TV speakers. Lord, it made me sound like some kind of monster. Then Amanda stopped the recording abruptly. "Sentimental old fool," she muttered under her breath, just loud enough for me to hear. "I knew you were recording me. That whole phone call was an act, Helen. A performance. Did you enjoy it? I practiced for hours." Mark flinched. His face was still pale, but a flicker of anger was starting to ignite in his eyes. Amanda, completely unfazed, swiped on the tablet. A document appeared on the screen, crisp and clear. It was a gift affidavit, a legal document. The heading read in bold, official-looking letters, "Irrevocable Gift Affidavit." My eyes darted down the page. My blood ran cold. It stated that I, Helen Parker, was gifting the sum of $25,000 to Amanda Klein as a gesture of goodwill and to assist her in pursuing her entrepreneurial endeavors. And there at the bottom, in a neat, unmistakable script, was my digital signature, my verifiable, legally binding digital signature, complete with the date and timestamp. But that's impossible, I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. Amanda's smile widened. It was a predatory, chilling thing. "Oh, I assure you, Helen, it's quite possible. See that little timestamp? A week ago. You signed it right on your laptop. Remember? I was right here with you." I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to recall the previous week. Amanda had been over, supposedly helping me with some online shopping. She'd been unusually attentive, hovering around me while I was on my laptop. She'd even offered to make me a cup of Earl Grey, which, now that I think about it, tasted a little funny. Not bad, just off. She continued, "You were so worried about your precious Social Security and fixed income. You were so concerned about me taking advantage of Mark. Well, guess what, sweetie? I just leveled the playing field." Mark finally found his voice, his tone flat and dangerous. "Amanda, what is this? Did you forge Mom's signature?" Amanda laughed, a harsh, unpleasant sound. "Forge it? Darling, why would I need to forge it? Helen signed it herself. Didn't you, Helen? Or are you going to try and claim that your arthritis was acting up and you accidentally signed away a quarter of your retirement fund?" The smugness radiating off her was almost unbearable. She was so sure of herself, so convinced that she'd outsmarted me. I looked from Amanda to Mark, my heart aching with a dull, heavy pain. I saw the hurt and confusion in my son's eyes, the disbelief warring with a lifetime of trusting his wife. "Mark, honey, I swear to you," I began, my voice trembling. "I would never—" "Then explain the signature, Mom. Explain why your signature is on a document gifting Amanda $25,000. Explain why you were secretly recording her." I wanted to tell him about the missing money, about my suspicions, about the Tony call. But how could I, with this thing hanging over my head? How could I explain the Tony call when it was clearly some kind of setup? All the evidence pointed to me being a manipulative, greedy, lying old woman. My mind raced, searching for a solution, a way out. The phantom factor, whatever it was the key. It had to be, if I could only remember the right details, the right clues. "Amanda says she was here," I said slowly, thinking out loud. "That we were here 1 week ago, and she made me a cup of tea. That's right, Earl Grey. That's when she took that information." "What information?" Mark asked, confused. I ignored him, focused on Amanda. "You were logged into my laptop. You saw the password. All you needed was that voice synthesizer program you were talking about. And you were right next to me." "Synthesizer? Voice? This is insanity, Helen. You're grasping at straws." She was getting nervous. Good. My heart sank. The laptop,
the tea, the recording, the signature. It was all connected, somehow. It all pointed to a carefully orchestrated plan. But how? And why? I'd never been anything but supportive of Amanda, even when I questioned her extravagant spending habits. The silence in the room was thick and suffocating. The only sound was the hum of the TV and the frantic pounding of my own heart. I could feel Mark's gaze burning into me, demanding an explanation, demanding the truth. I looked at the screen again, at that pristine document, at my own damning signature. It looked so perfect. Too perfect. But how could I prove it wasn't me? How could I refute a flawless digital signature? And more importantly, how could I convince my son that I wasn't the monster Amanda was painting me to be?
Oh, hell no! I managed to choke out, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Amanda pounced. See, Mark? Hear that? That's the kind of language I've been dealing with. It's gotten progressively worse since you told her we were having trouble making ends meet, honey. She reached for his hand, her voice dripping with false concern. It's like she resents us needing help, and now she's trying to take it back. I thought she understood that we had a plan to pay it back, that this was a gift. My head was spinning. The room, with its familiar smell of lemon polish and stale newsprint, suddenly felt like a trap. I could practically see the walls closing in. A gift? You call stealing $25,000 a gift? I sputtered. My knuckles were white as I gripped the arms of my chair. Now, Helen, let's not exaggerate, Amanda said, her voice saccharine sweet. It was a loan, with your permission, and now, because you're having a moment of clarity, you're trying to retract it. That's what this harassment is about, isn't it? Because that recording of you authorizing the wire transfer, it's pretty damning, isn't it? Especially now that you brought it up. She tilted her head, her eyes gleaming with a cold triumph that chilled me to the bone. Mark looked from Amanda to me, his face a mask of confusion and disbelief. Recording? What recording? Mom, did you really authorize a transfer? I wanted to scream, to rip the smug look off Amanda's face, but I was paralyzed, caught in her web of lies. She's twisting everything, Mark. She manipulated me. I never authorized anything like that. Amanda sighed dramatically. Mark, honey, I didn't want to say this, but your mother's been forgetful lately. We all have our moments, especially as we get older, but this is beyond that. She's forgetting things, mixing up dates, even getting angry and saying hurtful things she doesn't mean. That recording is now evidence of your mother's harassment after she regretted a generous gift during a moment of clarity. I was trying to protect her, but clearly she's not thinking straight. She looked at Mark with those big, innocent eyes. Your mother is clearly unstable. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Unstable. That's what she wanted Mark to think, that I was some crazy old woman losing my grip on reality. And the worst part was, she was succeeding. Mom, maybe I should call Dr. Evans, he said slowly, his brow furrowed with concern. Maybe he can prescribe something to help you with your memory, Mom. That was it, the final nail in the coffin. They were going to medicate me, to silence me, to write me off as a senile old woman, and Amanda would get away with it. I looked at the screen again, at that pristine document with my forged signature. It was flawless, a perfect replica of my own. How did she do it? The phantom factor, that stupid security feature they kept pushing at the bank, something about verifying identity with voice samples to reduce fraud with older folks. I'd ignored the notifications for weeks, just hitting remind me later. Damn, I was an idiot. The silence stretched on, broken only by the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Each tick was a hammer blow, driving home the reality of my situation. I was trapped, outmaneuvered, and utterly alone. Amanda smiled sweetly at Mark, then turned to me, her eyes cold and calculating. You know, Helen, maybe it's time you considered moving into assisted living. They have lovely places these days, and it would be so much easier for everyone. My heart constricted. Was this her plan all along? To steal my money, discredit me, and then shove me into a home so she could have free reign over my assets? The thought was so monstrous, so cruel that it almost took my breath away. I looked at Mark, pleading with him with my eyes, but he was staring at the floor, lost in his own confusion and doubt. He didn't see the desperation in my gaze. He only saw a confused, forgetful old woman. Damn it all. Is there any move left to make when your enemy has anticipated everything?
Well, screw it all. The words hung in the air, swallowed by the oppressive silence of my study. Mark had left, defeated. Amanda, victorious, had followed him out, leaving me alone with the wreckage of my life. The scent of old leather and decaying paper, usually a comfort, now felt suffocating. I needed to do something, anything, to push back the rising tide of despair. My days fell on my laptop, sitting innocently on my desk. The church books. That was it. A mindless task, a routine, something to occupy my brain and keep me from dissolving into a puddle of self-pity. Lord knew Reverend Davies was already breathing down my neck about the quarterly report. Bless his heart, he meant well, but the man couldn't balance a checkbook if his life depended on it. With a sigh, I opened the laptop. The familiar hum filled the room as the screen flickered to life. I navigated to the Quill Trust icon, that infernal piece of software the church had insisted on switching to last year. Back in my day, we used ledgers and calculators and everything balanced. Now it was all cloud-based and user-friendly and required a PhD to operate. More like user-frustrating, if you ask me. I still hadn't figured out how to properly export the data to Excel. I clicked on the icon, wincing as the program loaded with glacial slowness. A picture of a smiling, impossibly young woman flashed across the screen, promising seamless financial management. Seamless? My backside. More like seam busting, considering the headaches it gave me. The login screen appeared. Password, of course. I typed it in, my fingers stiff with arthritis. St. Jude's Rocks, with an exclamation point. I know, it's not exactly Fort Knox security, but it's worked for years. The main screen finally materialized, a chaotic jumble of charts and graphs that made my head spin. Honestly, who designed this thing? Some young buck fresh out of college, I bet, who'd never balanced a real budget in his life. He probably thought Social Security was some kind of online game. I clicked on the Transactions tab, my eye scanning the endless list of debits and credits. Donations, tithes, utility bills, altar flowers, the usual. I started at the beginning of the quarter, meticulously checking each entry against the bank statements. It was tedious, mind-numbing work, but that was precisely the point. 10 minutes in, I was already itching for a cup of Earl Grey, but no, I couldn't get distracted. Not now. I had to focus. I clicked, verifying each transaction, making small notations on a printed copy of the statement. The rhythm of the task was almost hypnotic. Debit, credit, debit, credit. And then I saw it. A large withdrawal, far larger than anything the church would normally spend. It was listed as consulting services, with a cryptic reference number that meant absolutely nothing to me. My brow furrowed. Consulting services? For what? The church hadn't hired any consultants that I knew of. I clicked on the transaction to view the details. The payee was listed as Innovative Solutions Group, with an address I didn't recognize. And the amount? It was a staggering $5,000. $5,000! For what? My heart started to pound. This didn't feel right, not one bit. Reverend Davies would have mentioned something like that. I would have known. I cross-referenced the date with my own calendar. Bingo.
Reverend Davies was away that week, visiting his sister in Florida. My mind raced. Could this be another forgery? Another attempt to bleed the church dry? But who would do such a thing? And how? I scrolled further down the transaction history, searching for other irregularities. And then I saw another one. Another consulting services charge, this time for $3,000. Same payee, same cryptic reference number. The blood drained from my face. This was no coincidence. Someone was systematically stealing from the church. And they were doing it while Reverend Davies was out of town. I felt a surge of anger, hot and fierce. How dare they? How dare they prey on the church, on the generosity of its parishioners? This wasn't just about money. It was about trust, about faith, about everything I held dear. I printed out the transaction details, my hands trembling. I had to show this to Reverend Davies. He needed to know what was happening. As I gathered the printed statements, my eye caught something else on the screen. A small, almost imperceptible icon in the corner of the Quill Trust window. It was a notification, easily overlooked, but now it seemed to pulse with an ominous glow. It read, "Phantom Factor Security Update available. Click to install." Phantom Factor, that stupid voice recognition thing the bank kept pushing. I'd ignored it, thinking it was just another marketing ploy. But now I wondered, had I been wrong? Had I underestimated the lengths someone would go to steal what wasn't theirs? Suddenly, the mindless routine of balancing the books didn't seem so mindless after all. It felt like I had stumbled upon more than a distraction. It felt like a weapon. Could this small piece of information be the key to unlocking everything?
Well, butter my biscuits, I muttered, staring at that damn Phantom Factor notification. It had been bugging me for weeks, that little pop-up. Just another way for Quill Trust to sell me something I didn't need. Unusual login detected. Review activity? They chirped. Unusual for who? I hadn't changed a thing. But now it felt different. Like a buzzing fly you finally realize is carrying something nasty. I clicked the notification. A new window opened, filled with a table of information that made my eyes cross. Dates, times, IP addresses, a whole lot of nothing as far as I could see. I almost closed the window in frustration. What was I even hoping to find? A confession written in binary code? I took a deep breath, reached for my reading glasses. Arthritis in these fingers is a real peach, and started scanning the list. Most of the entries were mine. My usual morning routine, check the balance, transfer a little something to my savings, maybe pay the water bill. Mundane, boring, mine. Then my eyes snagged on one entry, July 17th, 2:47 p.m. The exact day and time I signed that blasted affidavit swearing I hadn't authorized those withdrawals. July 17th, 2:47 p.m., sitting right here at my kitchen table, inhaling Earl Grey and fighting off a headache. I remembered it clear as day. I even remember the birds chirping outside my window. My heart started to pound. It couldn't be. I scrolled over to the IP address. It was a string of numbers and periods that meant absolutely nothing to me, except there was a little look-up location link next to it. Curiosity, a feeling I hadn't felt in months, overwhelmed me. I clicked it. A map popped up, courtesy of Google, and a little red pin dropped smack dab in the middle of the goddamn Starbucks 2 towns over in Roswell. The blood rushed to my head. My vision swam. It was like one of those movie scenes where everything goes silent except for the pounding of your own heart. Roswell. Not my house, not my computer. Roswell, where Bethany went every Tuesday for her networking meetings. Roswell, where that lying, two-faced... A slow,
dangerous smile spread across my face. A smile that hadn't seen the light of day since I caught Bobby Jenkins cheating on his math test in the 8th grade. Served him right, the little twerp. She swore up and down that she knew nothing about it, that she would never do anything to hurt her family, especially my precious grandson Lim. She looked me right in the eye, sweet as pie, and lied through her teeth. Bless her heart, I said out loud, the words dripping with sarcasm. That little witch, using Starbucks Wi-Fi to hack into my account, probably sipping some fancy frappuccino while she drained my retirement. I felt a surge of energy, the kind I haven't felt since I chased that darn squirrel out of my bird feeder last spring. This wasn't just about the money anymore. This was about respect, about truth, about teaching a spoiled little brat a lesson she wouldn't soon forget. I leaned back in my chair, the smile still plastered on my face. It was all coming together, slowly but surely. That Phantom Factor security update, suddenly it wasn't a useless nuisance anymore. It was a silver bullet. What happens when a boring nuisance becomes a silver bullet? You load the chamber, honey. You load the chamber.
Well, bless their hearts, I muttered to myself, adjusting my pearls as I walked into that sterile, awful courtroom. Pre-tried hearing. Felt more like a dog and pony show to me. Bethany's lawyer, some young buck with more hair gel than sense, was already there, looking smugger than a cat who'd just swallowed a canary. He practically oozed confidence. He had this holier-than-thou attitude as he started yammering about how Bethany would never steal from her beloved mother-in-law, how devoted she was to Liam, how this was all just a big misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah. I swear these lawyers all learn the same script in law school. Then came the grand reveal, the smoking gun as he called it, a digital affidavit signed with my name, generously gifting Bethany $25,000 from my retirement account. He practically vibrated with self-importance as he presented it to the judge. Said it proved I was just a senile old woman who'd forgotten her own generosity. The nerve! My own lawyer, bless his heart, a sweet gentleman named Mr. Abernathy, who reminds me a bit of my late husband George, simply nodded calmly. He'd prepped me, told me to expect theatrics. He just gave me a reassuring wink. Abernathy stood, and with a quiet dignity that shut that young whippersnapper right up, he presented his evidence. Not just some flimsy affidavit, mind you. Oh no, honey, this was the real deal. First, certified immutable server logs from Quill Trust. Quill Trust, you know, one of those fancy financial tech companies that promises the moon and delivers, well, slightly less than the moon, but enough to make a difference in this case. Abernathy explained, in excruciating detail, how these logs were basically tamper-proof, showed every single transaction, every login attempt, everything. And what did those logs reveal? That the digital affidavit, the one supposedly signed by me, was signed using my account credentials from a public Wi-Fi network. Not from my house, sweetie, not from my secure password-protected connection. No, it was signed from a location miles away. He paused for effect, letting the weight of that information sink in. You could practically hear the smugness draining out of that young lawyer like air from a punctured tire. And where was this Wi-Fi network located, Mr. Abernathy? The judge asked, his voice as dry as toast. In Roswell, Your Honor, Abernathy replied, his voice calm and steady. Roswell, where Bethany went every Tuesday for her networking meetings. I could just picture her, that little conniver, batting her eyelashes and pretending to be all business while she plotted and schemed to steal my hard-earned money.
But Abernathy wasn't done yet. Oh no, honey, he was just getting started. He then presented the final piece of evidence, security footage from that very Starbucks, clear, unedited, time-stamped. And what did it show? Sitting at a table, sipping a latte, and typing away furiously on her laptop at the exact moment the gift was signed? Bethany! There she was, plain as day, caught red-handed. The look on her face as that footage played was priceless. Her carefully constructed facade of innocence crumbled faster than a stale cookie. Her lawyer looked like he was about to swallow his tongue. It was an unassailable digital kill shot. You could practically hear the air whooshing out of the room as the truth slammed into everyone. I just sat there, a tiny smile playing on my lips. I'd been waiting for this moment, waiting for the scales of justice to finally tip in my favor. And honey, it felt good, damn good. Abernathy rested his case. The judge, after a long, pregnant pause, simply cleared his throat and adjourned the hearing. He said he'd render his decision within the week. But I knew, we all knew, it was over. As I walked out of that courtroom, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. Not gloating, mind you, just a quiet, ice-cold satisfaction. Justice. It's a dish best served cold, wouldn't you say? Especially with a side of certified server logs and security camera footage. What does justice look like after the gavel falls?
Well, sweetie, you'd think that would be the end of it, wouldn't you? Amanda facing felony fraud charges, Mark utterly broken, apologizing until he was blue in the face. I'd won. Justice, as they say, had been served. I spent the next few days on my porch swing, sipping Earl Grey, Twinings, of course, none of that cheap stuff, watching the world go by. The azaleas were in full bloom, a riot of pink against the green. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful. Mark came by every day, a shadow of his former self. He'd sit on the steps, head in his hands, just existing. He kept saying he had no idea Bethany was capable of such a thing. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But that $25,000 was my security, damn it, my safety net. He offered to pay it back, of course. Said he'd sell his prized Mustang. I told him, keep your car, Mark. You'll need it when you're driving to visit your wife in prison. Maybe that was harsh, but honey, after a lifetime of pinching pennies and watching every single blasted red cent, forgiveness doesn't come easy, especially when someone you trusted implicitly took advantage. The silence between us was thick enough to cut with a butter knife. He understood, though. He knew the trust was gone, irretrievably shattered. The Mark I knew, the bright-eyed boy who used to help me with my taxes and bring me flowers on Mother's Day, was gone too, replaced by this hollow shell of a man, all thanks to his wife. The neighbors stopped by, offering condolences and clucking their tongues. Mrs. Henderson, bless her heart, even brought over a casserole, tuna noodle. Not my favorite, but I appreciated the gesture. These young folks, she said, shaking her head, no respect for their elders. You know, back in my day, you wouldn't dream of swindling your own family. People had integrity. I tried to lose myself in my garden, weeding and pruning, but the thought of Bethany sitting there in that Starbucks, calmly draining my account, kept creeping into my mind. It was like a persistent little gnat buzzing around my head, refusing to go away. Then the phone rang. It was a number I hadn't seen in years, but I recognized it instantly.
It was Bob Abernathy's direct line at Parker, Stern and Associates, my old firm. Helen? A familiar voice boomed through the receiver. It was Charles Stern, a senior partner. He sounded harried. "Charles," I said, surprised, "though I'm sure you're not calling to ask about my arthritis." He chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "No, Helen, I'm afraid not. We have a situation, a corporate client, some questionable server logs. We need an accountant, someone with experience, someone who thinks like a thief." My heart skipped a beat. Server logs? Questionable activity? It sounded like a tangled web of deceit, just the kind of thing I used to unravel back in my day, before I retired and became a victim. "Charles," I said, my voice suddenly sharper, more alert. "Tell me more." He hesitated. "It's delicate, Helen. Very sensitive. We need someone discreet. Someone who can get to the bottom of this without raising any alarms." I leaned back in my swing, the Earl Grey suddenly tasting a lot less bland. The azaleas seemed to glow brighter. The peacefulness of the afternoon was shattered, replaced by a familiar, exhilarating hum of anticipation. "And you think I'm that someone?" I asked, a smile playing on my lips. "We know you are, Helen. You always had a knack for finding the needle in the haystack. And frankly, we're desperate." I paused, considering. I was retired, supposed to be enjoying my golden years, gardening, reading, maybe taking a cruise to the Bahamas. But this was different. This was a challenge, a chance to use my skills again, a chance to prove to myself that I wasn't just some old woman on a fixed income waiting for the Grim Reaper to come calling. "All right, Charles," I said, my voice firm. "Tell me everything." He launched into a convoluted story about offshore accounts, shell corporations, and a missing $1 million. It sounded like a mess, a glorious, complicated mess. As I listened, I felt a familiar spark ignite within me, the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of uncovering the truth, the power of bringing justice to those who deserved it. I hung up the phone, my mind already racing, sifting through the information Charles had given me. Bethany was still facing charges, but I had a feeling that was just the beginning. As I looked out over my garden, a new thought crossed my mind. Is this the end of a battle or the beginning of a war?